guys, welcome back. I'm so sorry that I've been gone for so long. People who follow my TikTok will know the story, but I'll just let you know. So I went to my partner's for a week. I don't usually film over there because there's not really any space for me to be on my own and film. But then what happened next? Well, I was gone for 3 weeks. I had to isolate for a week because he caught COVID, and then I got COVID a week later, and I was really quite ill with it, and considering he hadn't had his booster and I have, and he wasn't as bad as me, that's really strange. I was in bed sleeping a week. I was really quite ill. It's just basically, I just basically got the flu, but like I couldn't do anything because it literally shattered me. Anyway, so there's that. I'm sorry for messing you all around. I do like to post regularly, but obviously if I'm at my partner's, as I said, I don't have the space to film. Sorry about the lights in the background. I got them off of Amazon and I still haven't figured out the settings on them yet. They've just got a button, that's it, and you just flick between the settings. Anyway, today I'm going to be telling you about the ghost hunt that I went on recently. So I went on this before, obviously, all the COVID stuff. If you like my content, then please like and subscribe and share with friends. If you have any new content ideas, then please let me know in the comments. So let's get on into the video. So this ghost hunt was actually a sleepover. And it's the first one I've done where I've actually like slept over. Usually we stay until about 3 AM and then leave and sort of drive back. So this time we went to the Four Crosses Inn, which is near Cannock Chase in the UK. I'm going to start with some sort of background information on the location before I get to the story time part. It was originally built in 1636 from old shipping timbers that are almost about 1,000 years old. The building has had intriguing and sort of tragic stories to tell. The most recent death occurred in the 1980s when a young boy ran out into the road outside and was killed instantly by a car. Because of that, they actually closed that entrance, so now you can only get in through the back, through the car park. Another tragic story is that of a young baby that died after falling off a table upstairs. So they left the baby upstairs on a table, and they were just sort of in another room. So the baby sort of rolled off a table, and that was in the 1800s. There were also reports of multiple suicides in the building over the years as well. Now, I didn't know this bit until I did the research for the video, but apparently prisoners would like pass through on their transport route. So you know when prisoners go sort of between prisons, they get transported between prisons. This little inn was on the way, and usually what would happen is this would be a stop off point, and then the prisoners would be locked up in the attic while sort of the driver would be downstairs having a pint. The pub later then closed in 2019 and has been derelict ever since. So it's only recently closed, if you think we had lockdown in 2020. So it's only recently closed. A little interesting fact about the place is that there are said to be secret passages within the building. In 1950s, there was an oak door that was discovered with 1638 carved into it. The finding of this door sort of led people to believe that there are many other passages hidden. I didn't find any while I was there, but we just went around like the normal part of the building. And there was even an old coachman's uniform found inside a bricked up fireplace. And it was perfectly preserved, the outfit was. And it was said to have been there for over 150 years. But this got me thinking, why? Why was it preserved in a chimney? Were they hiding it? And why were they hiding it? Bit strange. There are said to be many paranormal sightings from both guests and staff alike. Obviously, because it's only recently closed down, obviously there's been people that have experienced it as staff. Things such as like glass smashing, unexplained footsteps and apparitions, the sounds of children crying, and sort of shadowy figures being seen during the day and at night. Other reports include that of a round-headed soldier in the men's toilets, and a man with a long dark cloak standing in the car park. Another example of activity is that of a teenage girl that was spotted by a staff member, obviously when it used to be an inn. When the pub used to function, there was a teenage girl spotted which had like sort of unkept hair, so sort of like matted hair, and ragged clothes. It was said to be like a dress robe, like a what do you call them, nightie, like a cream ragged nightie. Apparently the woman, the staff member, and the teenage girl stood and they just looked at each other for a moment. They were just stood there staring at each other, and then the girl just wandered off and walked through a wall, which then actually led the staff member to quit her job because she was that scared. I also didn't realise until doing the research after the event that the area in which the inn is located in is fairly paranormal itself. So Cannock Chase is known for being sort of paranormal. It's said to have homes to sort of many legends such as witchcraft, UFO sightings, even the Slender Man, if you believe in that, and dark spectres in the shapes of like giant black dogs with glowing eyes. So that means it comes as no surprise when you hear that often the inn gets visited by children with blacked out eyes. On one of the websites I found actually a picture that someone had taken. It was a bit blurry though, so it's not really a good picture. It is also said to be the home of a boy with a dog as well, as there have been sightings of him with his dog. In terms of activity as well, it is said that things like fireplaces ignite during the night, and a piano starts playing on its own. It's really creepy. So now that I've given you a little background information, I'm going to give you sort of my personal experience, sort of like a story time. I think the more ghost hunts I go on, the more connected I get to the spirit world. I know our first ghost hunt in Xoxo tunnels, we did get some activity from it. But I think we get a lot more activity now than what we first used to. As I said, although like in Xoxo tunnels we had like taps on the shoulder and people seeing things and stuff like that, but I find that we get a lot more activity through like taps and stuff like that now, and we can actually sort of communicate with them and get a conversation through them now, because we're more sort of connected. So this time I didn't go with the girls. I went with my mother-in-law because she wanted it as a present for her birthday. She wanted to do like a sleepover one. We did actually have a lot of activity at this location, although she hasn't been on a ghost hunt in a while. She's still quite connected with the spirit world. Obviously, when you first start out, you don't really have the energy built up yet because you've only just got there. So the spirits don't really show themselves. we started out in a group downstairs. So we started out in the first room, which was like our main meeting room for the night. We didn't get any activity in there, if I'm being honest. And then we headed into the next room, which was like a little sort of drawing room. So there was like a fireplace, some little tables and some sofas. We did get more activity in here. So we did have like a little device that we put on a table. I can't for the life of me think what it was called, because we've never used it before on any of the ghost hunts that I've ever been on. Basically, it's a device that you put on the table, and it lights up when sort of a spirit taps on stuff. So you've got the box here on the table, and if they tap on the table, it will light up the spectrum. It's just for spirits that haven't got the energy to sort of do a loud tap, like a loud one. So it's good for like if they touch the table to like they're trying to communicate with you, then you can see that. So they interacted with that a little bit, but most of the time they were touching the EMF reader while we were trying to communicate with them. Although it wasn't lighting up all the way to orange and red, because what you've usually got is you've got a light green, medium green, bright green, and then you've got orange and red. So it was usually just flickering between the two green lights at the beginning, but that meant that the spirit was there, it was touching it, it just didn't have enough energy to sort of to go all the way on the EMF. And this does happen sometimes, especially at the start of the evening, because obviously you haven't built up the energy in the group. Then the next room we went into, well, we sat down, and the guy who was running the group, can't remember his name, asked how the women were feeling. So now that's a weird question. We've been asked it before when I've been on ghost hunts before. It never ends well. He then stated that the room that we were in used to be like a gentleman's club room, and the spirits that are in there don't usually like women in there. So we were calling out to the spirits, nothing was happening, and then the guy who was running the group asked if anyone wanted to go sit on the gentleman's chair in the corner. So obviously, me being me, I was like, yeah, go for it, there's nothing happening. So so he already doesn't like women being in the room, so why not, let's go sit on his chair. So I sat in the chair, and he started communicating through the EMF reader, turning it orange and red. So he was getting his energy up, he was quite angry. Now I was sat on the chair and I had a cat ball on the table next to me, and nothing actually happened around me. It was over with the group that they were getting all the activity with the EMF reader. But I was sat there for a good 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden I got this banging headache and I felt really dizzy. So I got out the chair thinking it might be him. So yeah, I got up out the chair and went and sat with the rest of the group. About a minute or so after I'd sat down, I smelled cigar smoke, not just normal smoke, cigar smoke. Then the mother-in-law next to me, she leans over to me and goes, she whispers to me and she goes, "Do you smell cigar smoke?" And instantly I was like, oh my God. I was like, I literally can smell it. Like, I just smell it. And then a guy, so we were sat here on two little chairs, and then there was a guy like over here opposite us, and he went, "Can anyone else smell cigar smoke?" And me and the mother-in-law just went, oh my God. So it was really freaky, because it was like the person had just walked past us, walked down the little the little gap between us. It was kind of like he was going, you're at my chair now. I'm just going to make sure you know that I was keeping an eye on you and that you shouldn't be in my chair. As soon as we got out of the room as well afterwards, my headache was gone. So it must have been something in there. So after that, we went on a little break, had some snacks and stuff, and then we went upstairs. So when you go upstairs, you've got like a long hallway, which has got 4 bedrooms connected to it, and then a staircase going up into the attic. First of all, what we did is we went into the smaller room at the end, which had like 2 little single beds in it and like a rocking chair. The rocking chair freaked me out. It didn't do anything, it was just freaky, because you see them all in horror movies, don't you? So yeah, we went in there. We didn't really get any activity in that room, but what we did is we popped like a sensor light in the doorway, like facing out of the room into the hallway, and it kept going off, like someone kept walking up and down the hallway. So what we then decided to do was move into the hallway and do some table tipping and glass divination. For people who don't know, table tipping, all you do is you've got your table and all you do is literally lightly put your finger on there. Obviously, if you're pressing on the table trying to push it, if you see your finger goes white at the end, so you know if someone's pushing on it. Glass divination, same sort of thing. You've got a table and you've got a glass on top with a marble in it. So, and again, you would put your finger very lightly on the top of the glass and you just watch it move. You communicate with the spirit, left for yes, right for no, stuff like that. So they were doing that in the hallway. I don't usually like to get involved in stuff like that because I'm really scared that I'm gonna bring something home with me. So yeah, they were doing that. While they were doing that, what I did is in the little room that I mentioned, there was a little porcelain doll. So I put one of the cat balls on the porcelain doll. And then me and mother-in-law, we were stood in the doorway watching them in the hallway. And all of a sudden, she just jumps and moves out of the way. And I turn round and the cat ball is flashing in the room behind us. Now I was a bit like, I didn't see anything. I didn't see it immediately go off. So we stood there, said thank you to the spirits, because that's what we like to do, say thank you. Don't sort of insult the spirits. So we said thank you, asked the spirit to do it again, and it started flashing. Immediately I crapped myself and I jumped out of the way of the doorway. I was like, I'm not standing there anymore. So after that, people decided to stay in the hallway and still do the glass divination. But 3 of us, so me, mother-in-law and this other woman, went in there after we'd composed ourselves, and spoke to the spirit. And we think we figured out it was a little girl who wanted to play with the dolly, because the dolly kept lighting up the ball. But the other weird thing that we noticed was as soon as the activity sort of went quiet with the guys in the hallway, we started getting loads of activity. So it was like the girl was like moving between the different rooms, so she could play with us all. They did actually end up getting quite a bit of activity in the hallway as well. When they were doing the glass divination, the marble actually ended up sort of moving to the side of the glass, and the glass actually ended up moving sort of off the table. The next place that we went to was the attic. Now, none of us really got good vibes up there at all. It just seemed like a really sort of unhealthy room. You got, if that makes sense, like we weren't up there long at all. As soon as we went up there, we felt sort of like negative energy. Now, after doing my research, I kind of know why, because obviously prisoners were held up there, which when we went on the ghost hunt, they didn't really know what sort of happened up there, but I'm guessing that's why you get the negative vibe, is because the prisoners were kept up there. Not for very long, obviously, it was just sort of a pit stop, but obviously if there were prisoners up there, there's going to be negative vibes up there. As soon as I went up there, I started feeling like I couldn't breathe, like someone was sat on my chest, and then I started feeling sort of dizzy. So I sat down on the bed, sort of focusing on my breathing, and then I started getting a really bad headache again. As I said, I feel like I've become more connected with the spirit world doing sort of these ghost hunts. Then we went to leave because a lot of us weren't feeling right, sort of a can't breathe, headache, dizziness, stuff like that. On the way out, I noticed that there was a cupboard that was open, so I closed it. Remember this information. So as soon as we got out onto the landing again, rather than up in the attic, I noticed that my headache was gone. You just felt like such a happier vibe down here from down below than what you did in the attic. Now, after you've been around with the group, again, you've got a free roam time, like with the other company that we've been with. You can go around as long as you want if you're staying overnight, which is good. So we went around on our own. We didn't really get much activity, especially downstairs. So we went back up into the little doll room again, and into one of the other bedrooms. So the other bedroom had like a double bed and just like a little chest of drawers. We sat on one side of the bed, the two of us, and we put a cat ball on the other side of the bed. After being sat there for a little while, the cat ball started flashing, like someone was playing with it. And what we found strange was there was another group in the other room next to us with the doll. And when they got activity, we didn't have activity, and vice versa. So it was like the person was going between the rooms, sort of interacting with us, which was quite cool. And then we went obviously back into the room with a little porcelain doll. Again, we got activity through the cat ball. Now, as I've said in my previous video, with these cat balls, we have tried to debunk them. My mother-in-law, obviously, this is the first one that she's been on in a while. She's never used the cat balls, and she herself, she tried to debunk them while she was there. They only go off if you touch them. They don't go off if you jump nearby. They don't go off if you blow on them, like if there's wind or whatever. They only go off if you touch them. Even if you're speaking loud in the room, they don't go off. So yeah, they actually need physical touch to be able to work. So after doing our time in those rooms, we thought we'd brave it and try and go back up into the attic. So I went up the stairs first, and as soon as I got to the top of the stairs, that's it, I ran back down, because the cupboard that I had closed was now open and no one else had been up there. And it was a magnetic cupboard as well, so it's not as if it could open on its own. So I freaked out. Once we had composed ourselves once again, we then went back downstairs. And it seems that in the drawing room there was a lot of activity. A lot of people who were running the event were sat in there with a few of the guests. And and they were getting someone to communicate through one of the little cat balls, answering sort of yes and no questions. Obviously by this time it was about 3:30, so I was getting a bit tired. So we went and took our stuff up to the room. We slept in the room with the porcelain doll. Although we did get activity in there, it was a nice vibe. It wasn't as if we were getting negative vibes, because obviously we figured out that it was like a little girl. It was sort of nice vibes. But we did sleep with the light on. I went straight to sleep because I was shattered because I'd driven there. So I was quite tired. But the mother-in-law couldn't sleep straight away, so she sort of stayed up and read for a bit, and ended up hearing footsteps outside the door. Creepy. And up in the attic as well, apparently. When we woke up in the morning, we spoke to another couple of ladies who had stayed the night as well, and they said the same thing. It was like someone was walking to the bathroom at the end of the corridor and then not coming back. So it was like they kept doing that. So they were walking to the bathroom and walking to the bathroom and walking to the bathroom. So that concludes the ghost hunt. It was a very active location, I will say. This location has actually been in the newspaper for its haunted activity as well. I think most haunted have been there as well, if I remember rightly. Now most people get scared off of doing ghost hunts because they're scared to waste their money, because obviously they aren't cheap. Honestly, it's not a waste of money. Obviously, coming from someone who believes in the paranormal, it's probably not very reassuring, but it's not a waste of money. As I said, there are countless ways that you can try and debunk things that are happening there, and the company that we went with this time was Haunted Houses. I'll pop their link in the description box below, but we were talking to them in the morning, and they're all volunteers, so they're on the ghost hunt for the same reasons that you are as a customer. They don't get paid to do the investigations. They are purely there for the same reasons that you are. And one of the guys that was there, he said that he goes around and he tries to debunk things as well, because he's very much a skeptic. So whereas some other companies, they do get paid to do them, so it's more likely that they're going to be staged so that they get more people to come in, if that makes sense. But honestly, because they're volunteers, they're there for the exact same reason that you are. And obviously, because they let you go around on your own, that makes it all the more better, because obviously they're less likely to stage things if you're walking around on your own. And when you go around on your own, they obviously go around and do their own thing as well, experiment on their own. So I'd highly recommend doing it if you've been wanting to, or if you're just a skeptic and you want to see what's going on. Well, I hope you liked today's video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like my content, and please comment if you think there's anything new that I should cover. All right, goodbye.